The word curse is very visceral language. To be cursed is scary if you believe in curses. But I don't believe in these mystical curses, and I don't think you should either. It's very good that we have overcome these old fantasies of curse magic. But there are other things similar to curses. For example, I could inflict you with a virus. The only reason it doesn't look like a curse to you right now is because you know how viruses work. The science destroys the mystery, so there's no need for this mystical explanation anymore. But imagine back then, when people didn't know what bacteria were, and when they didn't know what viruses were. Then whatever I'm going to inflict upon you, if I do so willingly, is going to look like an actual curse. You get cursed by sickness and disease. But there are mental diseases as well. Depression and anxiety are mental sickness. A healthy mind is not depressed and does not feel anxiety. A curse that is causing anxiety and depression in people is the curse of self-knowledge. To know yourself is a curse if you don't complete the process to the end. Because within the process of knowing yourself, you will find that your mind is full of sickness and disease. When you look at how your mind functions, you see how sick the human mind really is. The ego has gotten complete hold of the entire system and infested every little crevice of the mind. Your entire perception then becomes seen as untrustworthy. By seeking self-knowledge, you find yourself in a place where it becomes very obvious that you don't know anything. So the human curse that burdens us to live a life we don't want to live is mechanical. Self-knowledge is literally an affection you gave yourself once you see the architecture of your own mind. Because now you have opened your eyes up to your pathology running the show. The ego running every perception and every thought and every desire, and you not being in control for any of it. Seeing this clearly and then not being able to do anything feels like a curse. The person who never looked, at least, is in the comfortable delusion of self-control. He's in the comfortable delusion of self-knowledge, when in actuality, it's blindness guiding him. When you destroy the comfort, you keep the disease. But what is surprising is that the infection itself is the cure if you let it run its full course. The ego being exposed in every crevice of the mind is the actual solution. It's the immune response of your own awareness doing exactly what it is supposed to do. It's shining a light on where in your own mind you are lying to yourself, where you are pretending to be something you're not, pretending to know something you don't, pretending to believe something you don't actually believe in. Now, if you start to shine the light of awareness through your own mind, then you are starting a process that will eventually heal you. But if you find something that is very scary and you flinch and then distract yourself or rebuild a new spiritual identity on top of this newfound clarity, now you have the original sickness, the original disease, plus a fresh layer of denial. Now you might be arguably sicker than you were before, because now you have to move through the denial layer before you can even get to the actual architecture that is causing your sickness. You aren't cursed by some magical self-knowledge. It's just that you have found yourself mid-surgery with no anesthesia, and now you stopped cutting. Seeing the process of your inner psyche at work is the doors to true liberation that most people have no idea about. And how deep this process goes and how deep and fully you can see and accept yourself is truly shocking for the mind. because what it leads you towards is a sort of existential satisfaction that there's no words to describe, because there's actually no distance between all of your perception and your sense of being. Everything that moves through you in your day-to-day life is identical to you. And all what this machinery does is try to separate yourself from all of existence. If you don't let this process run through, you will find yourself in deep existential suffering. There's an agony that is possible when you resist this process that has no words to describe. All sort of neuroses, psychosis, existential nihilism, or anger issues, social anxiety, the lack of ability to have long-term plans. There are so many poisons that emerge from not fully understanding yourself to the end and building some other barrier, trying to protect yourself from seeing deeper into your own nature. If you want to use a very mystical word to describe this process, it is the process of enlightenment. But instead of looking at enlightenment as some sort of personal ego thing to achieve, it is really about deconstructing your own lies and delusions and finding a wholeness underneath that is actually experienced, not in an intellectual idea about some magical state somewhere far, but actual lived presence that is stronger than any sort of idea could ever be. If you want to greatly accelerate this process, then I can help you with this. Click on the link in the description and you can read my protocol. I explain exactly how this process works. Self-knowledge is the highest reward, because to be in yourself and be 100% satisfied, no matter what the circumstances say, is actually possible. And knowledge is the same as acceptance. True knowing who you are and what you are, like if it's actually known, is undistinguishable from acceptance. And doubt and lack of knowing is always the process of part of the process that doesn't accept what is happening. Because in order to know something, you actually have to completely embody what you know. If you know that you're hungry, then this knowing is felt in the body. It is not an idea. You know you're hungry because you're feeling it. And if you doubt if you're hungry, it's like, I'm not sure if I am hungry, then it is not fully there, right? You're not really sure what to do with yourself. The same is true for any sensation in your experience. If you doubt if you are real or if your life matters, then this doubt in of itself will make it so that, yeah, you're not fully embodying who you could be, because instead of doing so, you're actually doubting the process. And if you know something, there's no room for doubt because it's just known. So if you know yourself, there's no way you can hesitate doing what you want to be doing. There's no way to hesitate embracing your life because you know that there's no other way but to embrace it. Doubt is a trick the mind uses to not fully enter into a new form of being. Knowing is what happens when you strip away all the doubt and fully reside in the being of your own nature. And it requires you to doubt at times. It requires you to be uncertain at times. It requires you to not fake your own knowing, with some sort of suppression about what you're actually feeling. It requires you to be uncertain for a while until whatever is at the other side of this uncertainty can deeply be known. This process can take a long time, and depending on where you get stuck at, things can get very difficult. If you want to get help with this one-on-one, click on the link in the description.